I know, right? Happy Tuesday, everybody. We are back. We were not here last week. My fault. I know.
Oops.
Scheduling. No Tuesdays.
Oops.
So I'm Patty.
I'm Carrie.
And we are StudioR12, and we do DIY and stencils. So if you are here for those things, you're in the right place.
Yes.
And we have so much fun today. We are going to talk about applicators, specifically for a special reason, and glues. So things that you need to know about both so that you can up your game and not be sad.
Yes.
Sometimes the wrong applicator or the wrong glue can make you a little bit sad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ask us how
Carrie
us
has
know.
a sad story to tell.
We're going to tell some sad stories today.
But it's a happy ending.
It's a happy ending, but
Yes.
we are going to tell you about the mistakes that we've made because it's important for you to learn when we run into things.
Yeah, and the product that we're going to talk about today is like embellishments and the 3D signs, and I'll show you what those look like in a minute. But the embellishments are not new, but I've definitely been made sad many times sticking embellishments on, so I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm going to teach you some pro tips with that. Maybe a little blow your hippie noodle in the meantime. And the 3D signs are all kind of a new phenomenon. And so there's no learning curve, and so it's frustrating when you can't find a lesson that will show you all the little tips that will make it way easier.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And if you are not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you will want to do that. Patty had an amazing lesson last week. She taught how to paint a faux wood frame.
Yeah, so this is important. I'm not even sure that I said all the reasons for it. If you buy those cheap little frames from the dollar store and it has a little frame around it already, you're kind of stuck. But if you do that, you can't fit your stencil inside. It's a problem. So you can take, and then usually frame things, not dollar store, but usually frame things are expensive. And so, and you have to have a whole wood shop if you want to make a frame.
Yes.
So this way we can paint that on after we do our stenciling and make it perfect.
Yes, and when she did this, she brought it out and showed it to us. And a couple of people were like, oh, good job, Patty, because they thought this was already framed and we bought it like this. And they're like, oh, you know how to stencil black on white. Congratulations. And we're like, no, the lesson's the frame. And then everyone was hippie noodle blown because they were like, oh my gosh, we thought it was a real frame.
Yeah. So you don't have to, with round signs, with rectangle signs, any size, shape sign, you don't have to have a frame.
Yeah.
You can faux frame.
Faux frame.
Faux frame. So check it out on our YouTube channel. Make sure that you give us thumbs up. If you could give us thumbs up right now, that'd be awesome. And maybe even a heart for Dustin and Steve who are behind the camera. But it helps with our algorithm. YouTube, everything in the universe is AI, which means artificial intelligence, which means algorithms, which means that our lives are run by whatever they say.
Yeah.
So if you like it, then they will find other people that like to do DIY, and they will say, here's something you might like as well. So you help your other painter friends, and you help our channel.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
I'm
then
done. Blah, blah, blah,
blah. No more blah, blah, blah. So this weekend, we are releasing a new product and a new technique. So we actually got this technique from one of our viewers, but we are doing...
Thank you guys for sharing.
Yes,
Always share.
we are doing a triple drop shadow on this project. So this is going to be a new stencil that's released this weekend. And for the first time ever, we are releasing a 5-foot porch stencil. So we have had requests for that. Dustin had sent me all the sizes, and I was like, can we add a 5 foot? So
give Dustin a big thumbs up because that's more work.
Please.
But please, he's behind the camera. So what a triple drop shadow is you have your letter color, and then you have a drop shadow, and then you also have another drop shadow. So it's drop shadow, or base coat. And there are some tricks to know.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, and then this is absolutely adorable if you have a fishing lover in your family. Or, this is interesting, I was at church on 2 weeks ago, and my pastor almost cannot do a sermon without a fish story. He is a fishing fanatic. And he was like, who fishes? And I like put my hand up, and I think I was the only girl in the entire congregation that was like, yes, I fish. I love it. But this would be so great to give as a gift for that person, like, pastor appreciation, give him a fishing sign if he's into it, or foodie or whatever,
Yeah. Well, and it's almost time to start thinking about dad gifts.
Oh,
and Father's
is,
Day,
yeah.
man cave, all of that. So I'm excited to release this weekend and walk you through it, because it took me some time to think my way through it, and I show you my way of doing it, and then I tell you another way of doing it.
Yeah.
That might save some time, might save some paint, but
Yeah, I'm
it's a fun
going to
project.
go back to like the dad gifts for a second. So we've been working on our Father's Day things here at StudioR12, and that is StudioR12.com. If you want to check that out. If you get to StudioR12.com, you will get a spinning wheel. If you fill that in, you'll be able to see our newsletters. You'll be able to get onto our newsletter list, which will tell you what's new. It will tell you what's interesting, tips, pro tips, alerts about like, oh my God, this thing changed, or this is out of stock, things like that. So it keeps you kind of up to date. But it also, Carrie is doing a thing with personalize anything coming up. And she's going to tell you how to personalize anything. And if you want to know about that, get to StudioR12.com and check it out. Yeah, so, all right.
Okay, well, I think
Ready?
I
Do you have housekeeping? I see things over
I
there.
have a bunch of stuff, so I cleaned out my box. I have a box by my desk that all of our when we go to test and practice before we film, we normally print a bunch of different stencils in a bunch of different sizes, and then I always end up with leftovers. And so I cleaned out my leftover bin, and I cleaned out some brushes that I had. So today we're going to have some giveaways.
Nice.
So make sure that you are asking questions in the comments on YouTube and on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, I will ask for you to email me. If you're on Facebook, I will send you a message in your private messages.
Yeah, and what's cool about her taking these from the little demo box, if you will, they're not used. They're just things that we didn't use for a project. But what's cool about that is if you stay up with our YouTube channel, they're going to be things that we've used recently. So you'll get things that specifically go with projects we've done recently.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and do a giveaway.
Nice.
Our friend Kelly
Hi,
on
Kelly.
Facebook has asked a question. She asked about, do you have a video on how to use the triple threat ghostwriter? I have a document that says where we have used that, so I will send you a message with some of the videos that have that in there so that you can see that. And then Kelly, you are going to get 2 of our feathering and antiquing brushes.
These are so great, you guys.
And these are actually not ones that you can even get on our website. So when we ordered these, we ordered every size available.
so many. They were like, like half, quarter, eighth. Like they were like 80 sizes, and I was like, skip a size.
Yeah.
Like we'll keep these, but let's like not worry about it, and we'll go every other because there was no difference.
So Kelly will get a couple of our feathering and antiquing brushes in some different sizes than we offer on the website. So I will send you a message and get your address.
All right, so
We shall get started.
Okay, so what we are doing today is we are talking about embellishments and 3D signs. What we call a 3D sign, I'll start with that. This is actually the sample that we're going to be playing with today. So a 3D sign is a sign that has, and then go figure, we're talking about framing things, and then this is a frame that is actually raised. But this all comes separate. This is raised on top of this piece, which is raised on top of this piece, and the depth and the dimension that you get is incredible. So, and then you can glitter things individually. So they're easy to paint, but there are some tricks that will make it easier. And I have a funny one from Abby, who is at our retail store, and she shared a really funny reason to use a specific kind of glue. So stick with us to the end so you can see what kind of glue she recommends from a user sad story standpoint.
And I'm also going to share a couple of links with you. We have 2 sales going on today.
Nice.
Our stacked signs
Stacked
are on
or 3D.
sale.
Yep.
And then our embellishments and cutouts are also on sale. So we have all of our snowflakes, our words, our arrows. So a lot of those we've made into a collection as well. So there's a lot of things on sale today.
Yeah, and that is why you're going to want to go to our website and you're going to want to get on that list so I'm on about 1 million lists because if I find a site that I want to remember, I want it to come through my email and it can be over there in promotions. If I really love it, I'll drag it from promotions over into my inbox. And what I love about that is that then I can search if I'm gonna be painting something and I was like, what did they say about embellishments? I can go find links and do the things. So it's really nice just to have it over there where you can find it. This is an embellishment and I'll show you why in a second. These snowflakes are embellishments. So super fun way to just beef up something that is just plain and boring like this arrow, but then you can make the arrow into an embellishment.
Yeah.
And this is a project on our YouTube channel. And when you're doing these projects and stuff like this part has layered paints that we sand through. That's a really good lesson. It has just a really cool distress and some chicken wire as well. So when you think about the 200 plus things that we have on our channel, they're not project videos as much as they are technique videos. So we're going to show you how to do all these things. And so it's like making, you can do a Thai style sauerkraut or, something like that. And then you can do it in a German style. So the same thing. You can do this technique with this technique and you can kind of combine things and learn how to do a deeper run through things. Okay, so going on. This is one of my favorites. Carrie did this and it matches her outfit today. Ta-da! But you can do this animal print in all the colors. You can do green and you can do pink. You can do anything you want. And I love that you can change the base color as well. I think this is wonderful.
Yes, and I'll share all the videos in the links. I think we have videos for almost everything we're doing today.
Exactly. So, and then I will share first tip. This has loopy letters that go over the edges. If I was storing this, now storing these things for your front door or wherever you're going to put them, they go great in wreaths and all of that. Storing these is just a little complicated because of the things that could stick out or whatever. They're a little bit more delicate. I would take an Amazon box or a box from wherever you shop from. I would cut it in the shape or size. I would cut 2 pieces of cardboard and I would tape it together and label it Hello Fall. And then you can slide that under beds and in closets and all that kind of stuff. But you just want to protect these letters. So you want to give it a little bit of support. Big things like this do not need the extra support. You wouldn't have to give that. They're just solid. So you wouldn't need support with that. But the delicate things you would need. Okay, so I'm stacking them up, but I'm trying to be careful. All right, and then, and we're actually pretty mean to these projects. We have them in a organized system, but we're not like padding them and packing them away. And these are all from the last year and they're all fine. So we're not being super tender with them. But you can do this kind of thing where you just run a simple word through. These lettering things that are in our embellishments also look great for place settings where you can do thankful for Thanksgiving on everybody's plate and do all that kind of stuff. It's a really neat technique. So I'm just kind of showing you some examples so you see where we're kind of going with the trend. This one is super cool. I didn't catch this right away and Carrie was like, oh, look, I did this thing. And then I was like, I see it. So she did a stencil project that had, the 2 embellishments. And then she also did it where she just did the stencil on the embellishment part and then did the word on the other. So really cool, the different kind of effect you can get. So this is flat in the middle. This is raised in the middle. Both are cool, different reasons for both of them. I love it.
Well, and one thing that I think sets us apart from maybe some of the other places that are doing these stack signs, we had someone ask if the stack signs were a trend. It all kind of started with the round door hangers becoming a trend.
Super big
And
deal.
they all started flat. And then people were like, okay, how can I make this better? So then it kind of evolved into now the stacked signs. But with ours, we have a good mix of some of them, like the one we're going to paint today, is just the embellishments and the cutouts. But some of ours come with stencils, and that's the Merry Christmas one came with stencils, and it came with the embellishments. So that's how I was able to make 2 projects out of one.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So this and this and this and this came with this, but you could do it and you could make one as a gift and give it away and then keep the other for yourself, make it back and front, all the things. All the things.
So I think that's one cool thing that we have to offer is that you can kind of use it for multiple projects depending on how you piecemeal them together.
Yeah, and if you're going to keep things for other things and not all the things, that's a phrase that we use around here all the time. But if you were to keep things, like so say you didn't want to use your Let It Snow and you wanted to put a different word like Christmas or something there, just make sure, give it a little cardboard case, just like literally, I should have brought cardboard, 2 pieces of cardboard taped together around it and then label it. Because once you tape it inside, you're not going to know what's in there. So anyway, so just beautiful. I think this is the same one we're doing today, right?
The Baby It's Cold Outside is the one we're doing today.
So different words in the middle. So you also have on our website, StudioR12.com. And that's a studio with the letter R and the number 12. So anyway, but you can get different words in the middle of that. So that's kind of a really neat thing.
I think we have a Merry Christmas, a Peace on Earth, Let It Snow, and Baby It's Cold Outside.
Yeah.
So we offer that design with 4 different words.
We're not sizes on this one yet, right?
No.
Yeah, we played around with sizes. And if you guys are interested, do we know what size this is? 15? Okay, yeah. I think you are right. 15 inch. We talked about doing them in a smaller size. Let us know in the comments and stuff if you think that that's a good idea and what size you think would be a good idea. I'd be interested in hearing that. Okay, I'm going to take these away.
And while we're talking about sizing, before we're finished, we can talk about some ways to hang them. And that's kind of one of the reasons I think we went with the 15-inch size is because when you get bigger and you are stacking, they do get heavier.
Yeah.
So then
they are a little heavier.
Yep. So then you'll have to determine, we like to hang a lot of ours with the command strips, but if you're going to be doing all the stacking and it's going to get big, you're probably going to have to put a hanger on it.
Yeah, like a sawtooth hanger or we did the stapley thing. I can't think of what the name of that thing is called. It's not something I use very often. Okay, so what I have is my base board is painted a color and I've let it dry. So these go really fast. And so we want to make sure that we are dry because if I get into my glues, which I'm going to show you the secrets to the glues and tell you like the whys and wherefores of different glues for painted projects. That's super important for everybody who crafts. You definitely want a dry background, so make sure that your background is dry. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to base with a roller. So we've got some applicators here. I've got a roller, I've got a jumbo dauber, I've got an ink sweeper, I've got a foam brush, and a makeup applicator. And I'm going to show you which one you want to do for why and where and what, and we're going to start with the roller. Okay, so we are painting this guy, and we're going to do it just like it is. And one of the things that we have going on is this board, and this board. This is actually a different piece right here. You can see the little cut, but you can't actually tell when you're looking at it. But they're all in a different color. So what I'm going to do is do a little cheat. I'm going to use a towel. This is such a great technique. This is a Dollar Tree towel, so it just doesn't matter, if you will. And I'm going to put it on my towel because it won't slide around on my towel. All right, and then a pro tip, super important pro tip, is to pre-fit. If I flip this around or flip it upside down, it's not going to fit. It's going to come to you all kind of assembled. Well, it won't be correctly assembled, like the snowflakes won't be in place. But this will be assembled together on your round, and it'll be that plasticky, stretchy stuff. I don't know what that's.
Saran wrap? It's like a saran wrap.
It's like saran wrap, but for like packers and movers. And so what that will do is it will keep everything together. So you're super secure, super safe, not breaking, not doing any of that stuff. So it'll come pre-assembled. So best bet is to not unassemble it. If you take it apart in order. if you get it mixed up and the kids come in, the dog comes in, I had my dog chew through a giant bottle of red paint once, so I understand. If they all do the crazy, then just pre-assemble it, make sure everything goes together so you're painting the correct sides. Okay, so we're going to take our dense foam roller, that's a super tightly spun foam roller, take our black, and I'm going to show you just the pro tip of how to get this done really fast.
Okay, Debbie asked, would bubble wrap work?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I
I was going to actually say bubble wrap. Bubble wrap, if you do the big bubbles, if you only want to use a little bit, you can still use some cardboard.
Okay. Patty asked, does the paint ever stick when you stack them? Should you put paper between them?
I have not noticed that. Like I said, we're kind of mean to ours, and I have not noticed it.
Yeah, I think if it's in an area that's going to get really warm and you have them stacked and they are flat, then we have had some that have stuck together.
Yeah. I would say a piece of wax paper might be a better thing, and that's what we all have in our kitchen, or even parchment paper would be really good.
And
I think parchment paper is highly underrated. Yeah. I think that's just a great product. All right, so the way I'm loading my brush is I have to get it loaded, and the reason I don't like to, my roller, I don't like to use rollers because they use a lot of paint, but this is a lot of square inches of material to cover, so when it comes to like hard work or using some paint, I'm gonna go with, let's use some paint. All right, so I'm working it into my brush roller, and then we're gonna work it on, or we're gonna offload onto our paper towel, and I'm really gonna push. I do not want any bleeding under or over the edges, and make sure that you do both edges of your roller. And we'll go here on my non-skid mat, and then I'm just going to hold everything down, and then I'm going to go roly roll. And because I'm not pushing really hard, it's going to do a really light covering, but it'll dry really fast. Okay, and I'll switch to different parts of my roller. Super good pro tip, use the whole roller. Eat the whole buffalo. Okay, so we'll go here, we'll reload. If I reload, I go back to my paper towel and do the thing. And then Carrie, if you've got questions, I'm done talky.
Let's see. This is not related to the stack signs, but it is a very good question. Melanie, stand by. Yes, Melanie asked, what is the best selling size of porch leaners, 4 foot or 6 foot? So that's something that I think some of our stencil fans who are on here today can help us answer.
That's a good question.
It really depends on the size of the porch, and it's hard to kind of gauge that. We do more 6 foot than 4 foot, I think.
So
we do 4 foot because they're smaller and they don't take as much time for us to paint.
Yeah.
But
I prefer a 6 foot myself.
I do too.
Because I want it to show on my porch, and I don't want to have, so I've got chickens and cats and dogs, and this morning I had 20 deer right next to my front porch. 20. And so I live a country life, and so I am not going to be able to keep all like a crate with some, if I put a crate with a bale of hay or stuff like from Michael's or something in it to make it cute and fall, my chickens would be in there laying eggs, so I've got different problems than everybody else. But my porch is tall, so I want it to be a tall presence, and that makes me, that makes me happier myself. So, and then you might have noticed on our example, these trees are green, and I am going over them with some black. However, I'm going to paint right back over that black. So paint is really cool because you can paint right over things. If you ever make a mistake painting, know that the best eraser for paint is paint. So you can just paint back over it. If you need to sand a little, you can, but just paint is such a good eraser. And that's a hippie noodle technique right there, I think. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue, not worrying about my trees. Isn't this just the fastest way to paint all of this detail?
Debbie asked, are the trees an embellishment or a stencil? They are an embellishment that attaches to the rest of the embellishments.
Yeah, they're
It's a
actually
piece.
like they're
Yes, it's a piece that comes out.
yeah, they're there. They're cut out, laser cut out, which I love because they're always going to be exactly the same. And notice I'm always going back to my paper towel. And if I want a light load, if I need just a little bit more paint, I can go load it from that offload on my paper towel.
Jarita says that she kind of likes that we make the size decision for her.
Amen.
Jarita asked, does painting both sides of your wood rounds help stop the warping?
You shouldn't have warping with these because of their size. The size is, if we have a board, I think it's a thick board, that is pretty tall, that's MDF, and we don't make very many tall and big MDF 1/4 inch projects because you can lean them on things. And if you lean them on things after like months, we've got one that's been out there for a year and it's got a little bow to it. But this, because it's 15 inches, you're not going to get that movement in that material. So you don't really have to worry about bowing. But yeah, you can paint both sides. I'm gonna backtrack. If I was painting a pine board, pine or different other woods, if you only cure one side, if you only paint or seal one side, then you can get like a little bit of like a dip in it. But on these guys, like I did this just an hour ago and it's perfectly flat. There's 3 coats of paint on there. You're not going to get the bowing. But if you were concerned, seal the back side and then you're good to go. Sorry, that was a really long answer. You're welcome. So I'm going back in for a second coat. And I don't know how many minutes it's been, but it hasn't been very many, and this will be done. And this is way faster than using one of these and going all the way around. I can make that noise again.
Yes, and so we had someone ask how you don't get the paint over the edges since it is laser cut. And that, and then when you get into the small areas, Patty will show it when she does the rest of the smaller embellishments, but the jumbo dauber and the ink sweeper are really wonderful for that.
Yeah, for these big areas where this is all connected, kind of. Also, a neat thing, if I was doing white, I might make a different suggestion about this applicator because my edges are all like black already. So I might not want to be risky with the white paint. So I might choose to use a dauber in that case because sometimes the roller can go over the edge. With this, you're never going to tell that anything went over the edge with the roller. Such good questions.
Kathy asked if we sell our paint that we use or where can it be purchased. So we don't sell paint, but we do have our paint color guide, which I have right here. And we have a collection of 80 paints that we like to use. We get our paint that we use on our bigger projects, especially because we paint a lot. But we get that from Sherwin-Williams. And then we also, on our guide, so we'll say what our color number is, and we'll say, so today we're using number
73, 27, 54, and I think it's
28.
28. Okay.
And so then you can get on here and see what number 74 is, and then you can see the Sherwin-Williams color as well as the Deco Art color that corresponds with it.
Yeah, so the difference between Deco Art and the Sherwin-Williams paints is the Deco Art, do we still have it in? Yeah, down here.
And this is the size of the typical Deco.
Yeah, so this is not a paint color, but this is a size bottle. This is how the to-go colors at Sherwin-Williams come. And so that's a nice manageable thing. We put it into honey bottles. But the Deco Art color comes in a smaller 2 ounce. If you're an ongoing crafter and you want to have all the colors and do all that, 2 ounce bottles might make a lot of sense. And maybe 1 or 2 of that, like black, white, and number 18.
Yeah.
You know, number 18.
Number 18 is the Christmas color of all Christmas colors.
Yes, and actually, presenting number 18. Yeah.
And 27.
And 27.
So that was all done in
And
our 3.
28. Yeah, those 3 colors definitely do a thing. Another pro tip is when you are using your roller and you're done painting for a hot second, if you're gonna just keep it in here so it doesn't dry out between coats, don't take it off of the frame. If you're gonna go tonight and come back tomorrow, take it off the frame. You will thank me later. It stores way better and everything stays drier. Well, not drier, it stays wetter. But then this will be good for almost 4 weeks if you keep it like this without the frame on it. Okay, so now we are going to talk about how to do these words. Carrie, you want to tell your sad story?
Yes. So when I first started working for this company, I was actually running our boutique Boardroom 46 in Gallipolis, Ohio. And at that time, we weren't able to have
There might have been a thing
workshops due to the pandemic.
a pandemic going on?
So we just had started releasing some of our words. So we didn't have the stack signs yet. We just had the words. And so I was painting them and then putting them with wreaths and putting them in baskets or stacking them on different things to make some decorations. And I hadn't trained yet with Patty. And
Sure.
so I was just
Stay
doing my
6 feet
thing.
away from me.
I knew how to use a dome brush and I knew how to use a polyfoam brush, and that was it. And so I would grab like the home that we have over here and I would use my dome brush or my stencil brush and I would boop, 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 boop. And I was holding it and I probably broke 6 in one day. And before I realized, okay, you shouldn't be holding this because you know, this one's not as bad, but the baby it's cold outside that Patty has is very delicate. Yeah. And if you are holding it and putting a lot of pressure on it, it can break.
Yeah.
So we do not recommend holding them. Instead, we recommend painting them on a flat surface.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
It unfortunately can get messy.
Yeah, and so then that brings me into a thing that we offer on our website. We do so many tall porch signs that we end up with a material that we can't always use up. And so we had a supply chain shortage, go figure, and we couldn't get palette paper anymore. And so, and the one that we could get had weird things, and then some of it was really expensive. And I looked at the pile of scrap that we had because we keep it to reuse it. And I was like, oh, I bet if we cut that, it's reusable, it's washable. So I bet you money this will work as palette paper. And it does. It also works as really long maskers, and it works as a paint surface so you don't make a mess on your surface. So I'm going to put this on the flat surface. You've got me here, Steve, right above?
Yep.
Okay. So this is super flexible. I could break this with a little tiny delicate child could break this. You want to be careful. So pro tip for getting delicate things is, number one, you want to be really cautious of them. Cookie sheets work really well if you just place them on something just solid so that you can carry them around. If you're picking them up and you're grabbing them and you're like chucking it on your table, you could break things. I'm going to show you what to do if you do break them. Okay, so we're going to have that whole lesson. We're going to use number 73 on this. And normally, so you might think you could use a foam brush. This is a terrible stencil brush, and this is an okay stencil brush. This is a makeup applicator, and this is a foam brush, but it does not make a good stenciling brush because it grabs so much paint. You can't really even offload it really well. You could, but yeah, it's almost not dense enough. This is almost not dense enough either. If you see that wiggle, that means it's got some wiggle. And if you come here to my jumbo dauber, you don't see any of the wiggle. It will smush, but it doesn't wiggle. The wiggling is the problem. So when I come, Dustin, if you can get me down here, when I go here, you can see that I very easily, we'll go on this part of the bee, very easily can cup over my edge. And then I'll show the dauber. If I push there, because once again, just like our dome brushes, it's domed. It will not bend over the edge. And then the ink sweeper is even better because on these long letters, it has a lot of support with it, but it is also domed in all the directions. These are amazing. On our website, these can be difficult to get, supply chain everything problems. So just make sure, look for them, get them when you can, get a couple of them. I probably would have like 5 or 6 of each of them in stock in my own crafting supplies, just because once you change a color, they have to be put into the water so they don't dry out, and then you can't reuse it. So not until it dries.
And I'm checking stock right now. We actually have 40 of the ink sweeper.
What?
And 29 of the jumbo
Guys,
daubers. So
it's
today,
your lucky day.
I don't know.
Okay, wait,
that
what's the
we-
date today? It's the
Today
25th.
is 24th.
24th.
Of
Oh, okay.
January 2023. I don't know that we've ever had this many in stock.
No, I feel like they must have come in like yesterday.
They might only last a couple.
They might only last today. Like, it's a big deal. It's like Christmas for everybody. Yay. Okay, so I am loading my number 73 paint on my dauber, and then I am pounding and smooshing it off in the same place. I'm not, like if I was using my dome brush, I would be kind of swirling in a really big swirl. I'm doing this in one spot and hard, okay? And then I'll come over here onto my lettering, and when I push here, I'm not gonna press really hard. I'm gonna just tap, 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 and then if I'm not getting anything off, I'll reload just a little. And if you notice, on here, all around my edges is not loaded, okay? That doesn't have paint. I'm loading in the middle only. Tap, tap, tap. Now what I'm noticing is these are the big long areas that we were just talking about. I'm gonna switch to my ink sweeper. And then on my long area of my D, much easier to base. And then I'll move my ink sweeper in the direction of my letter. So if my arch is that way, I'll go that way. If my arch is that way, I'll go that way. And then you'll notice that I don't, if I'm painting the D and it's right here, I will switch what part of my ink sweeper I'm pressing with from here to here to here. So I use uniform pressure on all of the areas that have paint. That makes sense. And then you go back for a second coat. I think the ink sweeper for these, in a big, the tree area, I'm gonna love my jumbo dauber, but in these letterings, I really do like the ink sweeper. What a great tool. And they wash like a champ, and they will last you for years. Like they are not a delicate little shrinking violet.
Charlotte asked, are the cutouts, if sealed, okay to put outside?
Yes, yeah. MDF is really, because it's made with a lot of glues. And by the way, if you've been around the DIY world for a long time, MDF got a really bad rap, and it deserved it. Back about 20 years ago, it was made with a lot of bad chemicals, bad chemicals. So you didn't want to sand it and do any of that stuff. Thankfully, it does come very smooth. Anyway, but these days it is made without the bad chemicals. So it is now a much safer, just the same as all the other things, plywoods and all that we get. So
One of my favorite materials now. It's
yeah.
great.
Steve is saying it's one of his favorite, and he is somebody that is a cautious person. He is not somebody that will race into a danger zone and stuff. So
we recently, on one of our shipments, there was a note on our purchase order that said that, I can't recall the exact wording, but the company that we get these from now has
like an A+ rating or something.
and there's
like that.
a really
Yeah.
good rating on the safety, and so we did a little research in it to check and see what it was, but it was basically saying that it's a lot safer than what it used to be.
Yeah, it's a I would use this product now, and I never would before. And I've been married to a woodworker for he's been a woodworker for like 35 years. So, and nowadays I'm like, yes, I will definitely use this product. But caution 20 years ago. Okay, so this is how you base coat with this. I feel like, Dustin, if you can get really close to the edges of the letters down here on the little edges, you
It's tight. That looks good.
yeah. You can see that it's not over the edge. So now if you want to stay right there, I think that'll work. I'll show you what the makeup applicator will do. Same thing. So right away, you can see that bee just got just a mess on its edge. If you got a mess on its edge, these are great applicators to use for a lot of reasons. I'm gonna just chuck that one. You can cut the tips off and reuse them. You can wash them out if you get them quick enough and stuff. But if you make a mess, what you can do in any of these applications, now this is the really delicate example because it's delicate, but I can hold it right where it's strong, right there on that bee, and then I can go in with my sandpaper. I could also go in with the paintbrush, and I could sand away my mistake and patch it. So if you make a mistake, that is how you can do that, fix that. Okay, now I want to switch to how to fix these trees. Move that out of the way. Bring our trees over here. We're going to use our multi-masker, which is, there we are. Ta-da! Okay, so these two applicators are done. And we're just going to chuck them in the water. And now the trees, I'm going to use the Jumbo Dauber, which is in stock right now.
What color is that?
This is sage green. I feel like this might be a little bright.
50.
45. Yeah, I think. Instead of 54, we'll do 45.
I think that's probably the color.
Yeah, I think they're just inverted numbers. So I'll shake it up. If you haven't used a color in a while, pull out just a fun factoid. Let's find number 68. Yeah, so if I take this out, if it's a Deco Art color or a Sherwin-Williams color, I take this out and I go right over here and I put it on. Oh, this actually did really well. I hate it when an example does an example for me. If it comes out and it's mixed up and everything, then great. I'll betcha it. Oh, this is a freshly loaded one. It's full to the top.
Full to the top. So note to self: don't load all the way
fill
up to the
these to the top. These are when you're filling. If you're doing bottles and you're mass making products and projects for selling, and you've got a gift shop and you're doing whatever. Keep them down about an inch from the top when you fill them, and then you get to have the shaky stuff go on. It doesn't agitate as well if they're full to the top. But I betcha, oh, look it's a different color. LOL. Okay, so obviously not shaken, and the stuff rose, and then that's the little bit of shaking I could get done. Mm-hmm. And if it were me, I honestly would take this, I would shake it, I would squirt a little bit in the trash can, and I would then shake it and then get it mixed up. But what a difference. I really thought with the peak of that, it looks like an egg, you know?
Like an egg yolk.
Yeah. And so, but then this is way egg yolkier, and then the colors are obviously completely wrong. That was a really good lesson. Thank you for doing that, paint. Okay, so we're back into our 43.
3.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It looks like a 5.
Put on your glasses.
I know.
Jackie asked, can you use the daubers for larger areas of stencils?
Yes, that's almost the perfect thing to do. The daubers. So if you use the perfect dome brush, ode to a dome brush, they're perfect in every way except when you want to do a big area. You can, if you don't swirl, which you can see swirling on all of our videos, if you stipple and go up and down like pounce like that, you're going to end up with a bunch of polka dots to connect, and it's going to be ugly. If you swirl, you can do it in like thin layers. That's good. If you use these guys, they're brilliant. So we're going to do the trees.
It's enormous. You can even use a roller.
What is that?
In carpal tunnel.
Yeah, and carpal tunnel. Yes. Okay, so we're going to go here. We're going to up and down pounce, same place. New paper towel and offload. Okay, same problem. We don't want it to go around the edge, so don't overload. We'll use our multi-masker. line it up there on the top. And then pounce. We're still doing fine moves. We don't want to pounce heavy. And then I don't want to get too close over here. So when we come over here, I've got to be a little bit cautious of doing just one area. Now, if I'm doing a control thing, I'm going to switch brushes and go to a dome, offload it. I just want that tip to not be dirty, and I'm not going to hit it hard. And then I'll go over here. Notice I wiped that off. That is going to give me a lovely clean edge. And now that I got that edge done, I can go over here and continue pouncing. Okay, so that is how you're going to do right over the black. And honestly, didn't think about this when I decided to do this. By having that black under there, and if you don't do the green really strong, you'll kind of shade it.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. I love this.
I like that too.
Okay, so we're gonna go back over here, and I wanna show you how would you deal with a break. How would you do with the breakup? Okay, so I've got my piece of wood. If you're respectful, these will not break. If something happens and it does break, I want you to know what to do about it, okay? So I'm gonna, where do we think this is gonna break the easiest? Well, it's actually being really resilient.
I think the double layer helps.
Yeah.
Here, try this one.
I don't think I want to break at all. No, that's not going to break. This guy will break, but I don't want to. Okay, I think we're going to try it right there. I know. Ah! Okay, broke. So, but you saw I had to kind of flex that just a little bit. So they are very well built, but it can happen. Okay, so what would I do with this? If I was putting this together, I would not cry. I would finish painting it, get it all done, and then what I would do is when I put it on my board, I would put that piece together. Don't mess with this piece. Like, don't push on it, don't paint it, don't do anything to it. Let it be raw on both of the ends, because they'll fit kind of back together if you push them together. Okay, so then once you apply it on here, then you're going to glue it down, and it's not going to look like it had any problem. And if you need to, you can take a little applicator and just touch that color up. So super easy way to fix something that got snapped. So I love that it's going to have its backing, and you're not going to have to worry about it. Do we need to give some more stuff away?
Yes, I have actually sent some people messages.
She's been doing it, you guys. Make sure you're asking questions and leaving comments.
On YouTube, we have 3 winners who I've already messaged: Kathy Hickson, Melanie Scoggins, and Tracy Jones. And on Facebook, if I haven't messaged you yet, Jarita Pixley, Vicky Bunker, and Charlotte Nance are all winners.
Nice.
So I have lots of messages to send and lots of things to give away.
So if you guys don't know, her fingers move at the speed of lightning.
I have been working very softly
diligently
today.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about glues. Okay, so we've talked about applicators. Let's talk about glue. Okay, so this is where the fun starts. I am going to take this away and move it back there. Okay, so we have a quick and tacky glue by Aileen. What we adore about this one is it stores upside down if you want to, and that means it's preloaded at the tip. Love this product. Okay, I think we carry this one, don't we now?
I know we
carry
the foiling glue and the stick and re-stick. I do not have this listed, but I can check and see.
We'll check. We were working on it, but I don't know if it came in. And then we have Gorilla Glue. This is Super Glue Gel.
I love that stuff.
Steve is back there saying, I love that stuff. Okay, so there's a funny story with this one I'm going to share with you in a minute. This is my 20-year-old hot glue gun. So I'll start with hot glue, and I'm going to say about E6000. Sherry. Carrie.
That's me.
Is going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about these two. And then this is my 25 years of experience. If you paint both sides of a project, or if you paint and then varnish especially, and you use hot glue, it's going to pop off in a hot second, and temperatures really seem to matter. So if you have a cold temperature, you're going to have your embellishments just falling off like you wouldn't believe. So not a good idea to hot glue. You can do a workaround, and that is take your sanding paper and you take your embellishment, and on the back side, if you've painted it, you can rough that up. And if you know where it's going to go on your project, you can rough it up in the spot on your project, and then it will connect and it will do a good job. So that is a workaround, also a pro tip. Okay, so take him away. And then Carrie, why don't you talk about E6000?
Yeah, so this is what I have used in the past, especially on some of the videos that I have shared where I was painting these. I like the E6000. I'm interested to try some of the others that Patty's talking about. I grabbed this because it was available and it was open.
That's the only one we had.
Right, so this was
besides
open.
the hot glue.
I did have to have Steve open it for me because I could not get it open because we've used it a million times. Now, when Patty and I were talking about these, the large one comes out a lot quicker, and it kind of does it on its whenever it wants on its own. So it will after
Store
you open
them
it.
on their butt end. Like if I was doing, Dustin, if you can right over here, if I was storing this, instead of storing it flat, I might put it in a little cup so that it's running away from the tip.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a good tip.
So
to
the
keep
small
that.
size is going to be better for control, and it also has it might have a little bit of a smaller opening
little hole
spout.
thing, yeah.
You
They
do.
make like turn on applicator
Yes,
things.
they do. Because when it starts coming out, then as Patty's going to show you, you don't want a lot. You want enough that it's going to stick. But if you have something cut out like the snowflake and you put a big daub on it, then you're going to be able to see the glue. And then there was the top left snowflake that I did. So pro tip, make sure that you are putting your cutout and embellishment exactly where you want it when you put it down. So the top left snowflake, I put it down, and then I didn't
in
like
there. I don't know if you're going to be able to get to
No,
it.
you can't really, and I know it's there.
Yeah, I can see it, but did you see I had to search for it?
But I put it down and then
In the
didn't like
side
the
there.
orientation of it. So I turned it, and then when I turned it, the glue turned. So now there's a shiny spot
There's a
behind it from the glue. A sheen.
And it would be really difficult to mask that. And so then at our retail shop here in town, we do workshops for people to paint their own. And then we have teachers and we have, all the supplies and everything there. So we got introduced to this product for securely adhering your woods to other things. Okay, so that's super cool. This was the first one that we were using, and we really liked this one. And so we weren't really having a problem, but this was recommended with an excessive, yay, this really works. So we were like, okay, let's try it. So Abigail over there, and she's like our seasoned pro, put the things together girl. She was using this one, and she said that it works great, except if you happen to get it on your fingers, you're not gonna get your fingers apart.
Yes. So be careful with Gorilla Glue.
So if you tend to be like a put it on there, wipe it away, this is harder to clean up. If you want something that's a little bit more clean up, user friendly, if I was working with kids, I'd use this one. You know?
I do have one more thing about the E6000. And I don't know about the other two because I haven't used them. When you use the E6000, once you get everything glued on, you need to leave it flat.
Leave it alone.
So one thing that Steve and I ran into was, I think it was a while ago.
This was with that white.
It was a Halloween one. We painted it and glued everything on, and then we were taking a picture of it, and I propped it up, and all of them slid right off. So you do need to let the glue dry before you get up and dance
This
with
one
it.
is almost instant. This one has a little bit of dry time. This, if you are using it, is pretty quick setup, and then this is the slowest setup. So let's go over here and let us adhere. We'll do the trees. Okay, so now if I were doing this, I would do a dry fit. Okay, so I would bring this down and make sure that I was even all the way around, base coated nicely. Look at my edges. The time for fixing is before you put anything on your board. So make sure that you feel like you are 100% golden. Okay.
So as we're getting ready to glue, Debbie asked, do you recommend not painting the back if you're going to glue?
Absolutely, yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah, and there's really
no
no reason to paint it because it is going to be glued.
Yeah, and before, well, actually, after, doesn't matter. We've got some glitter on this project. You can take your, do you have the?
I was looking
mat
for
right there
it.
behind your shoulder.
This.
There you go.
Yes. Someone had asked how to
Yeah,
seal those
so
bubblers.
the product, the MDF has a lot of the hardening in the glue. I literally have set a piece of this wood in a bucket of water to see how long it would take it to misshapen. This isn't, I don't know what the product's called, that is like, I don't know, it's like a board that doesn't have a lot of glue to it, and then it'll puff up instantly. This is not like that. This is extremely hard. And whatever their compression and their gluing and all of that is called is amazing products. So that's why you don't have to worry that glue's going to be preventative for nature anyway. But if you have a front porch like mine, where the entire west coast of the United States, through the plains, through the Midwest, comes and lands on my front porch, the wind, the rain, the weather, everything, you're going to want to seal. Okay, so, and the sun, I get the afternoon sun and I get all the weather. So if you have that situation, you're going to want to go ahead and seal. So you'll shake up your can after you get everything applied and take it outside or in a ventilated area. Follow the directions for safety on your can. Then you can spray everything and you can get those little edges and stuff, and then it's going to be nice and protected. And if you happen to, like me, have all the weather in the universe coming onto your front porch, Dustin hopefully is not dying. he's got the end of a little tickle and got the little coffee thing going right now. But if you have that, make sure that you, like I tried having a wreath on my front porch with one of those wreath hangers hooks on my door, and it took it off of my door, and it ended up behind, my house is very long and narrow, it ended up behind my house inside the chicken coop. And so that's what happens to wreaths that you don't wire down. So I learned some things about that. If you're going to put things like this on your front porch with a lot of that weather and wind, drill a hole, do a wire, and figure out where you can mount it so that you can wire like the top and the bottom. Don't be casual about it.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't want to wreck your project and stuff. So let's glue a thing down. So we like where the trees are. We like the dry fit. And make sure you ask the rest of your questions because Carrie still has a little pile of stuff over there.
I do, and I'm going to talk for a second. Well, actually, I would like you, someone asked if we could line up all of the glues. So can you lay them
All of the
down,
what?
the glues? So can you
Oh,
line
yeah,
up all
sure.
of the glues under the top camera so they can get a screenshot while I'm talking?
I'm going to take it off of this.
So Mike asked, would you recommend purchasing several of each of, I think, the daubers and the ink sweepers when doing multiple colors? And I started to type it out, and on YouTube I can only type 200 characters, and I'm wordy. So yes, line up.
Wrong thing.
So,
Wrong thing.
yes, Mike, we recommend if you're going to be painting a lot and using a lot of colors to have multiple, because we don't recommend using any of these wet. We like to wash them and
They have
make
to be
sure
dry.
they're dry, because if they're not dry, you're going to increase the chances of bleeding under because you're going to thin out your paint.
Yeah, and any water is going to be the devil.
Right,
Yeah.
but if you are using...
Is that a good shot, Steve?
Yes,
Yeah,
if you
not
are...
glue. Just
It's not a glue, but it is a product, and I feel like this 1311 number is super important. It's the matte Krylon finish 1311. Very important because a lot of these sprays are glossy, and so I once sealed a stepping stone with gloss paint, and when the sun hits it, you can't see it because it becomes a mirror.
Yeah.
And then if you do the same on your porch sign or anything that you have on your porch, tall porch, round, any of that stuff, the gloss is going to make it unreadable. And then why'd you do it?
Yeah.
You know, so always matte. And the 1311, I've been using it for 30 years and it's just a brilliant product.
One more thing, Mike. If you are going to be using colors in the same family, then you could potentially use the dauber over and over. If you were going to go from a green to a darker green or oranges or black, you could use that dauber for multiple colors. Just dab off as much as you can of the one and go on to your next one.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and take a moment and show you how to neutralize that so you don't have to have so many. Yeah. I think, are we done here?
Yes, we're done here.
So take that away. And then let's have just a quick how to neutralize your applicator. The one thing I don't want you to do is spend too much money on glues and applicators. Then you can't have as many surfaces and stencils. You know, so you want to have all the stencils and surfaces. The applicators you shouldn't need extra of. You want to have enough, but not too many. You don't want your life to be a heck, you know. Anyway, okay, so I've got a dark green and we've got a light green. And we'll get a dauber out. So pretend like I painted my trees with my dauber. Okay, now I've got it loaded with my number 43. And now I've got number 42 and I want to use, I want to do a little shading. Okay, and interesting, could do a little shading on that. If we would not on top of our blue. And so you can use wet and wet. Go there and use my applicator. Spread it around. I could side load that applicator. And now it's darker on the tip. Blot it off. And I could use that same applicator in shade. And that's not dark enough. So, two things. The color differences are not enough and the paint is wet. So the paint is going to stick better when the paint is dry underneath. And so, but it'll blend better if it's wet. So if you want a good blendy blend thing going on, make sure your paint is wet when you're trying to blend it with something like this. But now let's reload it. So I'll show you how to neutralize. So we'll blot, blot, blot. I'm pushing as hard as I can. And now I'll load into my applicator all over it. And now I'll press it all out. And now if I load it again, wipe off the excess, now you can see that this was the light color, this was the neutralizing step, and then this is the dark color, and you can see the difference. So that's a neat way. If you're strategic about how you do your planning, you can be like, ooh, I've got dark green trees over here, but I've got a light green this. It's easier to neutralize a light green than a dark green. You can do it, but it's easier to go the other way. So if you do that, you can be strategic, and then you don't need so many applicators.
And this, it's kind of similar with brushes. We had someone ask about, can you put a brush in a baggie? The answer is yes, and I actually did that in the video that's going to be released Saturday.
Oh, cool.
Because we went back from different colors as we did our different layers. So I'll show you that and explain that Saturday.
Yeah, love it, love it. Love saving you guys money. Okay, so now we're going to show you how to glue something down. And so you'll take it, you'll be like, okay, yes, it fits. You'll move that away. You're not going to put the glue on the flat board. You're going to put the glue on the back of the board. This schmutz that you see here, these are the grid that lives underneath the laser. If you don't want to see that, you can take a fine, you're not going to see it because it's on the back, but if you end up using the other side, you can gently sand that away and it goes away. So if you ever end up using the wrong side of something, that's how you can get rid of that. And so then if I'm using the tacky glue, quick and dry tacky glue, we're going to just put a flat amount. So I'm rubbing with the flat of the tip. And I'm not, okay, so wrong would be this kind of situation. Because what's going to happen is when I push it down, I'm using my slime.
It's going to smoosh when you push it down.
Okay, so when you put it down on here, you want to be kind of lined up. Okay, you don't want to have to slide it, and it is already squishing out. I will show you in just a second. Oh my Lanta, that was not really even that much.
No, it wasn't.
But you'll see in a second. Okay, Dustin, can you get that?
Yeah, I can see it.
And then if you hang on a second, and there it is again. It squeezed out of both sides. So that's a really important thing to know. If you do that, do we have Q-tips?
I do.
We do. La la. These are precision Q-tips. We used to carry them, we don't anymore. If you make a mess, these are Q-tips with a tip. You do not ever want to use these on your ears. Okay, so they're pointy on the back and the front. And so what I can do is I can go in with my Q-tip with a point, and I can pick that off, wipe it away. It'll take a couple, but it can be done.
And now, was that the Aleene's glue that you were using?
Yeah.
Or- okay.
Yeah, and so then with your, this guy right here, I'm just gonna take a snowflake and just apply it so that you can see it come out of the bottle and see the thing. And I'm just gonna stuff that on there someplace. So we'll take this off and see what we've got. I'm gonna pre-apply onto my palette just to make sure what I've got going on here. I knew what the Aleene's was gonna do because I've used it. Steve was the last one using this one.
And can you tell me what the Aleene's is called again? Is it tacky glue?
It is Quick and Dry Tacky
Quick
Glue.
and dry tacky glue.
Okay, so that came out in a kind of a good glob. So what I'm going to want to do, same thing with that. I'm going to just flat glue it. You don't want to touch it. And I don't have to do it everywhere. Okay, so with the quick drying things, you want to be quick because they're going to quick dry. Okay, and then when you do these, you're going to want precision. So you want to put it down. Ooh, and I slid on both of those. Okay, I don't think it mattered because I'm not seeing shiny. And then leave it alone and let it dry. So wherever you put it, that's where you're going to let it go. If you make a mistake, lift it back off. And what did we say earlier? We said paint is the best eraser. So say I messed up with this, I can lift that right back off. I can let that board dry. I can sand it. I can rebase coat, or not rebase coat, but base coat that area with number 73. And then I can reapply it. So I'm good as long as I stay calm.
So BJ says we do not have this.
Okay.
So I'm going to get an Amazon link and I'll share that. One more thing that I think we need to talk about is just around the edges at the bottom once you glue them together.
Where it didn't quite line up. Okay, so here we go. We have just that little bit of something, something going on there. And so what you can do, if you get any of that stuff, because sometimes you can have the stuff going around the edge, sometimes things can slip and slide, sometimes everything, right? So what you can do is you can just take a little brush, you can use a dome. I have a little one here, I do not.
Oh, I think I used all of those last week.
And she put them in the brush basin and she's making me wash them.
Oh, I did do that.
Uh-huh.
Oops.
Turnabout is fair play.
It is.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go right here. Dustin, can you get that real good?
Yep.
You good? So I can, hang on, glasses. So I can just go right there and I can base it and I can probably give it one more little base coat. And once I do the second base coat, it is going to be perfect.
And we did have a question asking if the Aleene's quick dry glue, does it dry clear?
I believe so. I don't think I've looked at it.
Okay.
So I don't, it must? I don't know. I'm going to put it right here and we're going to go to lunch and we'll come back and take a picture of it.
Yep.
And then share it with you guys. So make sure you look on our Facebook page. Carrie's been very funny lately on our Facebook page. So you want to make sure you look for some snarky crafting things. I love them. I love it. We just need to keep our humor, right? Crafting and humor and DIY and wine.
Amen.
Amen. Yes. So I hope you guys had a good time. We are going to see you on Tuesday, and we are excited to share with what we have for next week.
Absolutely.
See you then.